with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 minutes or so. It is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. You want to get in on the action, head to youtube.com/12OZ Sports or x.com/12OZ Sports. Comment right there on the live watch of the show, and you can get your commentary on the air. We got a good show for you today in the middle of the summer. Hope you are enjoying your time off. If you are at work today or on your work today, we hope you are making your Tuesday morning just a little bit more enjoyable. If we do, and you realize you need to share it with a friend, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. We got a great debate today for a straight off the Rome, which we will start with. And the question is simple. Can you define a sport by a sport? Meaning, does the Nathan's hot dog eating contest get considered a sport? Would you consider Joey Chestnut an athlete? Okay, that's what we are debating today. Plus, we go around the Rome for a little New York Knicks basketball because they finally hired a head coach. And I truly believe of all the options that the Knicks had out there, this hire was probably the best option outside of the guy that they just fired. So we'll talk a little bit of Knicks basketball. And if we have time, Tyrese Halliburton, the superstar, potential superstar, the definite star guard for the Indiana Pacers, who tore his Achilles during the last game of the NBA Finals, is said to will miss the entire 2025-2026 season. And I got some thoughts and some theories on why we are seeing so many more Achilles injuries in the sport of basketball, especially from the game's best stars. Just to name a few: Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton. So that's your schedule today. Get in on the action. The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, or as I mentioned before, you can comment live on the show. Without further ado, let's get into our first topic. I want to hear from you. What is a sport? It's a straight off the Rome. All right. So, what sparked this debate? Okay, and I think that every year that I have been commenting into a microphone, I'm not going to say on radio, okay, because that wouldn't be true. I've had a podcast for over 6 or some years. But for every year that I have been speaking about sports in front of a microphone, during the 4th of July, during the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, we get into this conversation about, is Joey Chestnut an athlete? Okay. And when we started this debate recently, after the last 4th of July holiday, I was steadfast, as I always am, on Joey Chestnut not being an athlete and hot dog eating not being a sport. However, in the interests of hosting a legitimate radio show, I did a little research last night on the definition of sport and the definition of being an athlete. And unbeknownst to me, I started to turn my opinion to, well, hold on a second here. Based on the Cambridge Dictionary definition of the word sport, and based on the Cambridge Dictionary definition of the word athlete, you would most likely consider Joey Chestnut an athlete? Here is said definition. The word sport first. Cambridge Dictionary. Thank you very much. It is a noun, and the definition is a game, competition, or activity needing physical effort and skill that is played or done according to rules for enjoyment and / or as a job. Let's break that down really quickly. A game, competition, or activity needing physical effort. That's exactly what professional eating is. Okay. It's activity, and you need physical effort and skill to be able to win in professional eating. And then it continues on to say that is played or done according to rules for enjoyment or a job. Well, that's exactly what the professional eating league is. Okay. I think it's MLE, Major League Eating, something like that. Okay. So you're like, okay, well, maybe hot dog eating, maybe the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, maybe eating like Major League Eating in general can be considered a sport. But how can we consider these people athletes, right? That again, this is my logic leading into preparing for this show. Then I read the Cambridge Dictionary definition of an athlete, and this is what it says. A noun, a person who is very good at sports or physical exercise, especially one who competes in organized events. Well, that is broad because we just defined sport as an activity needing physical effort, and we're defining an athlete as somebody who competes in organized events and is very good at sports or physical exercise. So, what is it? And what's the line? You know, because oftentimes as somebody that coaches baseball, there is a very distorted view of how athletic you need to be to play baseball. Okay. Because there are larger pitchers that exist in the world or bigger players on the field or guys that by nature, unless they throw or they hit a baseball, don't really look like athletes. Baseball has often been trolled as a sport without the best athletes. Okay. And when you look at the sport of baseball, and then you look at Major League Eating, you would say to yourself, if I'm talking about baseball or professional eating, there's no doubt in my mind that baseball players are athletes. Okay. They play 162 games. They have to run at max speed. They have to throw the ball really far. They got to throw it really hard. They got to hit. They got to do all these difficult things, run the bases. All of these things play into being an athlete. But then flip the script. I got to expand my stomach. I got to learn how to eat all this food in under 10 minutes. I have to train to be able to put that much amount of food in my body and not kill myself. There are so many different factors that go into shape-shifting your body, your mind, your stomach, your insides to be able to put down 74 and a half hot dogs, 70 and a half hot dogs, 50 chicken wings, whatever the competition is. And so you read these definitions, and it's really hard then to not define Joey Chestnut as an athlete, okay? And hot dog eating competition as a sport, because sport is defined by a competition or activity needing physical effort and skill played according to rules, and an athlete is very good at a sport or physical exercise. And if hot dog eating is defined by a sport, Joey Chestnut is an athlete. I need to know your thoughts on this, okay? Because I think this has been a long-standing debate in a lot of different areas. Some other questions I put down are, what about dance? What about racing? Okay? Because both require extreme physical exercise. Both require a lot of training. Both are played around a set of rules, okay? But are they a sport? You know, there's a professional in racing. There's not necessarily a professional league in dancing. Does that define it? Does the quote unquote activity or quote unquote sport that you're doing have to have a league that you can make it to as a professional that would then classify it as a sport? Because if you think about it, when you look at tennis, golf, cricket, even pickleball, right? All of those sports have a governing body, a professional that you can play, and these major tournaments you can go to. So the trickle-down effect to people that aren't that good, though they still want to play the sport, makes them believe, I'm playing a sport. What about cornhole, though? I've seen professional cornhole. Is cornhole a sport? Do you really have to train to be good at cornhole? So maybe cornhole's a sport, but you're not an athlete. Okay? And see, that's where I think all of these debates become difficult, because it's like the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James debate. It depends on what you're looking at here. Like, I know people that are steadfast on saying that dance or cheerleading or even racing aren't sports. Why? I have no idea, because I've watched my sisters cheerlead, my nieces dance, and though I think that there are other things that are paths I'd rather my daughter take because of reasons we're not getting into on this air, the fact of the matter is what those ladies and men are doing is very difficult, is dangerous, must be trained for, and is up against a scoreboard. So I don't know if you truly have an answer, okay? But this year, I've really started to change my tune on Joey Chestnut, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, and what we define that as. Like, yeah, it's kind of gross. Kind of makes no sense. I don't understand why anyone would want to do that. But then again, you could say that about anything. So just because I'm not curling dumbbells or trying to run as fast as possible doesn't mean I'm not training my body to be elite at something. And that something, though not played with a ball or played to a scoreboard necessarily, doesn't mean it's not a sport. So give me your thoughts. The Rome Show on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all the social medias, youtube.com/12OZ Sports. Comment live on the show. We take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we talk New York Knickerbockers and their new head coach, who was also fired this year, but has 4 championships as an assistant coach under his belt. More with that after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
It's the Rome Show!
Yeah. It's the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X. You can comment live on YouTube and X as well if you want to get in on the action. If you missed the first half of the show, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we were talking sports and athlete, what defines a sport, what defines an athlete, primarily based around the Major League Eating Nathan's hot dog eating contest, and where Joey Chestnut lies in terms of all-time greatness as an athlete. Give us your opinion on social media or comment live on the show. The New York Knicks, they have the answer to their questions. Who will be the next head coach of the New York Knicks and hopefully take this team to their first NBA final since 1999? The winner is Mike Brown, formerly the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. Mike Brown, a two-time NBA Coach of the Year in 2009 with the Cleveland Cavaliers and 2023 with the Sacramento Kings, despite bringing the Kings to the playoffs for the first time in like 2 decades. After a 13-18 start this year, the Sacramento Kings decided to let Mike Brown go. And so Mike Brown, after coaching 31 games in the 24-25 season, was let go and was looking for a job. Now, Tom Thibodeau takes the Knicks to the farthest they've been since 1999 and loses his job. So there's only really a few hirings here. If you're Leon Rose and you're the Knicks front office, only a few hirings here you truly could have gone with that actually were the right move. They tried Jason Kidd, got denied. They tried someone else, got denied. And you're looking at Mike Brown and you're saying, well, hey, man, listen, never won a championship as a head coach, but he's got 4 championships as an assistant in Golden State and in San Antonio. Brought a franchise that is never known for being good at basketball in the Sacramento Kings to the playoffs and made them legitimate for 3 years. Like, I remember when Mike Brown got fired in December, I went off a little bit because I couldn't believe that they were even firing him to begin with. Okay? And he comes into a team with some type of winning pedigree, and I believe some really good feel for the players, all right, and having coached a lot of stars in his career. And he's coming into a franchise that hasn't won a championship since 1973, and as I mentioned, have not been to the finals since 1999. So it's been 26 years since they've even entertained being in the finals, let alone the same 50-plus years it's taken for them to get back to winning a championship. So Mike Brown, his career record of 454 and 304 will go to New York to hopefully turn Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and company into not just a Final Four or Final Six contender in the National Basketball Association, but bring them to championship caliber pedigree. I've always felt like in Golden State and in Sacramento, Mike Brown got the short end of the stick. Okay, maybe the third time's the charm here. Cleveland, same thing. Maybe it's the third time's the charm here. Because all these organizations, though we have yet to see the written script on Sacramento, though all of these organizations fired him, they ended up going on to win after he was no longer the head coach. Here's what Leon Rose had to say. After a thorough and extensive search process, we are pleased to announce Mike Brown as the head coach of the New York Knicks. Knicks president Leon Rose said, Mike has coached on the biggest stage in our sport and brings championship pedigree to our organization. His experience leading the bench during the NBA Finals, winning 4 titles as assistant coach, and his ability to grow and develop players will all help us as we aim to bring a championship to New York for our fans. A lot of New York Knicks fans, I feel like, should be waking up happy today. I don't know what's right or wrong. I didn't agree with the firing of Tom Thibodeau, but here we are. So what's the information in front of you? The information in front of you is the league is not allowing you to interview coaches already under contract. And if you think those are the best options, what is the next best option? A man with this pedigree and a man who I think this is going to be his last head coaching opportunity. So how does he want to be remembered? Though it was good stuff in Sacramento, more remembered for the firing than the coach of the year and the playoffs. What will he be remembered for in New York? Because I would argue that for Mike Brown, most of his career now will probably be tied up in this opportunity. Because if you at least don't get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, it already looks like it was a bad hiring and firing. That's a fact. The line is set at Eastern Conference Finals. So we'll see if Mike Brown can take the Knicks there. Finally, in the NBA news cycle that's been going on, Pablo Banchero signs an extension with the Magic. Lonzo Ball got traded to Cleveland to join up with Donovan Mitchell. You have this hiring of Mike Brown. Well, I read a story and I found it interesting the other day, and I was like, well, I got to talk about this on Tuesday. According to the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton will most likely miss the entirety of the 2025-2026 season. Okay. Damian Lillard, same thing. Jason Tatum, same thing. Okay. All because of tearing their Achilles during the late part of the 24-25 season. And it begs the question, is there starting to become a lower body Achilles ACL injury problem in basketball? Okay. Because 3 of the game's top, let's call it 20 stars, have gone and now might miss the entire year because of an Achilles tear. And my theory is simply this: with all of the overplay of a single sport that goes on in our world now, with the specialization, with the I'm a 6-year-old and I'm going to play only this sport until I possibly potentially become a professional. All of that coupled with, okay, the impact that a basketball floor has on your lower half, coupled with the fact that there's no off season for basketball players. I've often said this. Check the Rome Show podcast, Ravitch podcast. Just search the Rome Show podcast. I've often said this. Basketball is that one sport where dudes will play it all the time. Basketball season's over. Don't matter. I got a gym to play basketball in. Pick up basketball, training basketball, whatever the case is. Basketball players do not stop playing basketball. So now, not only are you slamming your feet, your knees, your Achilles, your calves, your shins into that floor for the consistency of time playing the game, you're doing it for a longer period in your life, and you're so specialized that you're probably touching a basketball court 300 times a year. Well, that can't be good. So it's another injury situation in a sport where you say to yourself, is this the sport that's going on? Is this just a freak thing? No data, nothing's going to tell you anything otherwise? Or could this be the last 15-year changeover of no longer do I play baseball, basketball, and football? No longer do I play soccer and basketball. No longer do I do basketball and baseball. No, it's I play basketball every day, 100% of the time. And every sport has their downfall. For baseball, it's the arm. How many more arm injuries have we talked about? Is this the reason? Is it because we're specializing in baseball? Is it because we're throwing curveballs at 12? What's the answer? So in baseball, you have the arm. In football, you have the concussions. And now in basketball, you have the Achilles. I'm calling it lower body because I think the MCL, the ACL, all of it plays into this. But the Achilles is such a serious one. And the way that these dudes are going down, they're going down on a basketball movement. And bam, it's gone. And I think it begs the question of where we're at in all of these sports with the major injury that lines up with that sport and how we can adjust pushing back to the younger age so that bodies hold up and last longer. And again, it could be freak. You never know. But if you watch NCIS, Rule 39, no such thing as coincidences. So we don't know. But to not have some really big names in the league for almost an entire year because it's the Achilles, and for it to happen to multiple players late in the season, that makes me want to do some research and find out more. You're going to find out that Rocky Romanella is joining us tomorrow on a Wednesday for his Hockey with Rocky slots. We look forward to that at 7:10. Join us. I'm back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Until then, you have a fantastic Tuesday. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and share this stuff with a friend. We're looking to grow the 12-ounce sports community. Andrew Romanella, you have an electric day. Peace.
Thank you for listening.